Hey everyone, super pumped. I to the second episode of Digital Village, and I'm pumped because I'm talking to somebody that I have been stalking on social media for some time. I've been stalking Brooke because she's putting everything into perspective that I wanted to convey as a mum, and here she is. Let's go back. Yeah, I'm waiting for the connection, and I'm super pumped because it's like me meeting a Hollywood movie star. Hey, Brooke!
Hi.
How are you? I
Did you
just
just say
saying,
Holly? Did you just say Hollywood movie
yes,
star?
I think you're like, I used to be obsessed with, well, I wanted to be an actor before I became with my son. Long story, doesn't matter, short. So
Yeah.
I used to stalk people on the internet, celebrities. And to me, I feel as if you're a celebrity because you articulate all the issues that we as moms go through
Mm.
every day, and in such an eloquent way, and it's not
Oh,
just about, because we can get so caught up in what's going on, but you're
yeah.
utilizing what's going on with you to help other people and other mums, to have foresight. And this
Mm.
is why I've created this, is because I got in a rut. My son is 20 months old now.
Uh-huh.
But hey, Jasmine, when he was born, we were in a sticky position because my mother-in-law was diagnosed terminally ill. And so
Ah.
we made the choice. I'm loyal to family, and we made the choice to move in with his mum. We moved in one
Mm.
week after my son was born.
Oh, wow.
And I
Yeah.
didn't know how complex it would be to have a child, and how much hi Willow, my life would change as a result, and the space that I would
Yes.
lose and
Yes.
my identity. And I remember one of my friends rang me and said, You're about to hit depression. She's just like, I'm the therapist, and she said, you need to go overseas. So I went to the Middle East, and I was on the plane, and they were giving the instructions of how you go put the life mask on yourself
Yes. Yes.
before your child.
Yeah.
And I realized, hey, Garish, is that I was putting the life mask on everyone else but
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
Hey, Shelley, and I recommend anyone that's here to stalk Brooke, because you really
Mm.
do articulate our troubles so well. Like, you taught me to breathe,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
that's something as mums we forget to do.
Yeah. We sure do. Absolutely. Oh, wow. Thanks for sharing your story. I didn't realize that. That's massive. Massive. I mean, just motherhood on its own is so massive, and then let alone taking care of another person, and then your dynamics in your family changing, and your marriage, and having another person to care for is whoa, that's huge. That's huge.
Fascinating you say about the dynamics of a relationship changing. You don't realize until you have a child how
No,
drastically the relationship shifts
no, you
between
don't.
you and your partner. It's
Yeah,
just because all your love and attention goes
yeah,
to your children.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and nobody
Yeah.
talks about that either. I'm like, nobody talks about how your marriage is just going to be suddenly dragged through the mud, like the freaking mud. And it's like, we still, I mean, my kids are now 9 and 5.5, and still Scott and I are like, hello, it's been a week since we've actually had a conversation or actually connected, because then now the thing is like, okay, so you get your baby sleeping through the night, and then you're like, hooray, 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 like accomplishment. But as soon as they get older, they start staying up later and later and later. So at least when they were younger, at least you could put them to bed, and then we could have a couple of hours to actually connect before we were totally exhausted. And now we're at this point where it's like, fuck, what the hell do we do? Like, he goes to bed at 9 now. This 9-year-old goes to bed at 9 o'clock, and we're just like, whoa, we don't want to stay up until midnight, but we do end up staying up until midnight, and then we're tired, and then it's on and on and on. But it's like nobody talks about what's going to happen to your marriage when you have a baby, and people think, oh, let's have a baby, it's going to bring us closer together. Wrong.
all
right?
fix. You know how a lot of people think it's going to
Yes.
fix our
Oh
relationship?
my God. All a baby does is amplify every fucking problem you've ever had. That's all it does. It just like shines the light in all the cracks and crevices. And then people say, oh, we just need a second baby, or we need to have a third baby. Like, I don't know what the hell we're thinking, but that is not true. Sorry, but wrong. Stop.
It's so right. Like Frank and I like consider like, should we have a second child? And he's like, you're fucking batshit crazy. He said, I'd hate to see you with two. And I'm like, but you know, he's like, nah. And I'm like, and he's right. It's like he's actually,
Yeah.
and then nobody tells you to even the intimacy, like sex life. Like,
Oh, yeah.
the funny thing is, Frank and I were trying to, he'll probably get embarrassed, my husband saying this, but trying to do things last night, and our son wakes up,
yeah.
like crack bang in the middle of it.
I know.
Like, it's like he knows, and he's
I
getting dinner.
know.
Like, mum sharing her love with somebody else.
Totally.
You
Yes.
know, like,
Yes, it's crazy. It's crazy thinking about, and then like somehow you're supposed to be, you know, you're supposed to still feel sexy. You're supposed to still look great. You're supposed to get your body back like 6 weeks after you have a baby, and then you're supposed to still have a sex drive. Are you fucking kidding me? While you're breastfeeding a baby? Are you kidding me? Like, what world? Like, seriously, like, who painted this picture for mothers is what I want to say. Like, who? Because I would like to strangle them. And we see it in the movies, and we see it in books, we see it in the magazines, we see it on Instagram. You know, we see these moms with these unbelievable bodies, no postpartum. I just jumped back, and I'm just like, what, how do you think that is helping anybody? Like, that's not helping anybody. All it's doing is making us compare ourselves, making us already feel worse about ourselves. Like, we're already barely surviving as it is because our culture isn't set up to support moms. And nobody talks about that. You know, nobody talks about the fact that back in the day, like, we had support. We didn't have internet. We didn't have two parents that needed to work in order to support a family. Like, we had a whole different dynamic that was set up, you know, 50 to 100 years ago. And now it's something else entirely. And mothers are the ones who are left feeling like we're not cutting it, like we're somehow failing. We're failing our kids. We're not bringing in enough money. We're not doing enough. We're not taking care of ourselves enough. We're not in shape enough. I don't feel like having sex, so there's a problem with me there. I don't feel excited about my life. There's a problem with me there. Like, it's just like one thing after the next of this massive mom guilt that most of us experience in one way or another. And it's just solidified with everything we see when we look out in the world. It's crazy to me. So I'm super glad that we're having this conversation, and I'm glad that you're bringing this to light for everybody too. It's important.
and what I find really hard is the separation between mums as well. Like, particularly at my age, the competing, is my son hitting a milestone before your son? And the talk behind each other's backs as well. Like, I think it's quite disturbing that the only way we as women can actually, I always think of Beyonce, where girls rule the world, but the only way we can rule the world is if we're unified and not trying to compete and getting caught. And I saw one of you, I've been stalking you again so we can have conversations, but it was about who we surround ourselves in.
Yeah.
Like, it's about, we can make choices. Well, is this mum a healthy mum for me to be around, and who my child can be around too? Because what I love about the human brain, and I've learned that, you know, the first 7 years of our child's life is vital because they're molding their beliefs based on us, because they don't have a critical conscious brain that's saying, hey, that's them, not me.
Yes.
And it's really important as us as mums, not just us of where we are, but who we are surrounding ourselves with. Because our children are taking on those beliefs unconsciously without us even being aware that they're picking them up.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And the subconscious mind, you know, the subconscious mind of our children is formed in the first 7 years. So how we were speaking to them, how we're speaking to ourselves, how we're showing up for ourselves, how we're showing up in our marriages, like everything, they are seeing everything. And even if we think that we're, even if we think we're hiding it, you know, we're hiding it, that our husband, or our wives or husbands or whoever you're married to, like our partners, whoever that is, if we're not aligned with them, if we're like loathing them or resenting them, angry with them, frustrated with them, wanting them to be different, wanting them to show up different, wanting all these complaints that we have, right? That most women have, is what I'm noticing. Even if we're not vocalizing it, they are picking up. Their limbic system reads our face, they read our energy, they read our cues. They know we are modeling for them right there, like, what is a relationship supposed to look like? And is this a healthy relationship, or is this a really fucking dysfunctional, like messed up relationship that can't tell the truth, that isn't honoring each other, that isn't appreciating each other, that isn't really based out of love, because we're in, so, not that we don't love each other, but we're it's so muddled with all of this stuff that we don't have the tools to sift through it and really be our greatest selves, which is who we were before we had kids, you know? Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we think as mums we have to sacrifice the work on ourselves. Like, I realized I used to do a
Yeah.
lot of work on me and where I sat in the world. And I thought, no, it's selfish of me to do that. I have to absorb all my time on him. But in the
Yeah.
last 4 months, when I turned around and changed that around, and even today, we're very lucky in Australia that we have like childcare centers, community care.
Yeah.
And I felt guilty in using that. And what I mean is, what in Australia is that based on your income, the government will subsidize half the money or even higher.
Right.
And I felt so guilty. I shouldn't be taking that. But do
Mm.
you know what? I had been doing that for 1 month, and my whole fucking relationship has changed with my
Yes.
husband. I am
Yes.
no longer dependent on him. Hey, this is what you need to do, because I've got time for myself. I'm breathing. I'm actually, I was so against TV, but my son's obsessed with documentaries.
Uh-huh.
He might watch that for 30 minutes so I can do some exercise for
Yes.
me.
Yes.
And everything has shifted in such a big way because I prioritize me first, and now my
Yes.
relationships, and it's taken away that resentment. I had
Yes.
so much anger and resentment, and I had issues with my son, like he was hitting his head against the wall.
Oh.
And I couldn't
Yeah.
understand why, but it was
Yeah.
my energy.
Yeah.
And even in the first 10 months of his life, he was a cluster feeder. And that was because I wasn't all right. And I've learned that. But now that I'm working on me, he's walking out in the world and embracing, like, he's absolutely embracing his identity. He's no longer dependent on me. He's an individual, and he feels safe and secure. And that's all because I made the choice that, hey, I need to work on me, you know. And what I love about why I encourage people to stalk you is because the last 6 months of your life have transformed in such a big way, because you've taken yourself out of that. I love how you say it, the mummy slumber.
Yeah.
That you've decided that, hey, I gotta focus on me for everybody else that's connected to me to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel like, and again, that's not modeled, you know, we don't see that anywhere, when nobody even talks about it. And yeah, I got to a point where I just didn't even recognize myself. I was just waking up kind of depressed, and not depressed, but just like getting by. I was just in this like mediocre life, just getting by. Like everything was okay, but nothing was like amazing. Nothing was great. Like I wasn't lit up about what I was up to. I wasn't waking up excited and jumping out of bed. I was waking up going, okay, what's today? Like that was kind of the energy that I had. Okay, what's today? And just getting by. I'm just so grateful that I woke up. And I don't really know, you know, people ask me all the time, like, what is it that, why did you feel like you woke up? Because that's what it felt like. It felt like an awakening. And I don't really know, quite frankly. I mean, I know what I saw and what I learned, but it was just this moment where I was just standing in my kitchen at night, and I just looked around, and I just, something woke up. It was like my higher self just like kicked in going, hello, Brooke, hello, wakey, wakey. That's really how I felt. And I just was like, what am I doing waiting here? I've never been a waiter, you know, I've always been a doer. I've always been an action taker. I've always lived my life on my own terms. I've always been super independent. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been a massive advocate for women and feminism and self-expression and like all these things. And somehow through motherhood, it was just like ever so slowly, I just kind of just was making myself smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and just kind of forgot about it. I just kind of forgot about who I was before I became a mom. And I know a piece of it, like I've always been really a massive advocate for self-care, because, and I've done that for a long time. My husband, one of the things that we've done that's been really successful for many, many years, ever since my son was 1, so we've done it for the last 8 years, is that we each take a night off every week. And that's a night off. We did this even after I had my baby daughter was born. I was like, I'm still taking a night off. Guess what? Like, these ideas that we have to be the one to do it because we're breastfeeding is not true. It's just not true. Yeah, it might be a little more hard, but if you have the tools to support your children emotionally, then you actually can step away for 3 or 4 hours. And to be at a place where you can actually step away and allow your partner, first of all, to step up and to step into their own power and their own connection with their kids and doing it their own way, because we're all friggin' control freaks. Let's just admit that. We're control freaks about how we want things done with our kids. The mama bear comes out and we're like critical and we want them to do it our way, and they're never going to do it our way because they're not us. It's not possible, you know? So the sooner we can release and surrender and go, guess what? They're going to get them to bed however they get them to bed, and that's okay. And even if they don't, I'm still going out to take care of myself for 3 hours, and then I'll be back, and then we'll see what happens. But the more that you do that, the more you empower your partner to step up, you know, and step in and help them build a deeper connection with their kids too, because they should be able to do it as well. So that was one of the most successful things that we did right from the beginning. And then I have a self-care Sunday for me. I always take at least 6 hours on Sunday. Every Sunday morning, my husband is on from the minute he wakes up, and I come back usually around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and I go to the spa and I lay in the sun on the grass, and I nap and I read and I listen to things that inspire me, and I get quiet, and sometimes I cry, and sometimes I sweat in the sauna, and it's just like, it's so good. It's so good. And if I miss it, I'm like walking around like this, like it's such a reset for my my weekly self-care. And it's not about money. You know, you have to get creative. Like when I didn't have the money, I would find a friend who had a hot tub in a backyard who I could go to, or I would go out into nature or go down to the beach or like whatever. It's not about the money, you know? It's like we have so many friggin' excuses to let ourselves off the hook, but when you step up into really taking care of yourself the way that you need to, the beauty is taking care of me is actually taking care of my family. Like we are a direct reflection of our family. I was sharing this on my live feed just earlier today, that my husband this week, he was looking at me and he said, "Hun, you know what the best thing is for our family is that you are on fire in your life and that you are lit up and passionate about what you're doing." And I was so moved by that. You know, he's so incredible, but I was like, wow, thank you. Like, thank you for seeing that. Thank you for witnessing me. Thank you for understanding the impact, because we have such a massive impact on our children. And this isn't about being guilty. You know, this isn't about like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, but it is about going, okay, what I'm doing and how I'm showing up for myself or not showing up for myself has a direct impact on the well-being of my family. So it's like a win-win for everybody. You know, the more you can step into yourself and step into your knowing and step into your self-worth and self-love, because that's what it comes down to, is like loving yourself and honoring yourself enough to know that you're worthy of stepping away, that you're worthy of like an hour of massage, that all the money doesn't actually get spent on the kids, that actually you get to spend money on yourself. And that is just such a massive piece for, I think, a healthy relationship and especially a healthy life for moms.
About it too is that it's teaching your children self-care themselves. Yes. Like God bless my mom, she's from that old generation where she put she had 6 kids and she sacrificed everything. Yep. And one of the biggest regrets of her life is that she wanted to become a police officer. And she never did it because, well, mum and dad were divorced. She didn't have the means, and she didn't want to be vulnerable in asking people for help. And we as women, there's 2 things I want to say. We got to get rid of that bullshit. Ask for fucking help.
Yes.
You need help, you ask. Don't be afraid. Because
that's
you know
right.
What I found when I started asking for help, there are other women out there struggling with the same bullshit things. And they are bullshit because we're not having conversations about it.
Right.
And the second thing I want to say is, you know what? Ask your fucking husband for help or your partner for help too. I felt so bad because my husband's working full time and I was at home, and I felt guilty because I was like, "What? How can I ask him? He's working." And
right. Yes.
The therapist will tell me you're working fucking 72 hours a day. You work from the morning he wakes up. At the morning it wakes up, and to the morning that fucking child goes to sleep. You don't even, like, I don't even get a fucking toilet break. I know. I go to the toilet, my son and the fucking cat comes out. Everybody is in the toilet. I can't even get to the toilet. And I felt so guilty in asking him, do you know, well, come on. And then I thought, no, I work every fucking day.
That's right.
Even in the night.
That's right.
Because I co-sleep, and I love that I co-sleep,
Yes.
but my son rolls over, has
Yep.
a breastfeed, wakes
Yep.
me up, and,
Yep.
and mind you, my husband, bless his heart, is snoring next to me,
I know.
oblivious. And I remember one day, this is
know.
what he turned around and said to me. He was like, it was when Zion was about 3 months, and he goes, oh, gee, last night was a really hard night. And I said, Frank, every fucking night is a hard night. Like, baby, you just sleep through it. It's like, I was like, it's every night. And I know what I've learned is the female brain is wired to hear their children wake, whereas the male brain is not wired that. So it's not even him, because my husband, God bless him, he wanted to help. Yeah. He was always wanting to help me. But I stuck in that social stigma that we aren't allowed to ask for help because he's out there doing the work. I know. You know, or I'm not as important as him because there's other women out there working because he's earning more money and his job is hard. And really, the men want to help you.
Yes, they
want, but they just don't know how to navigate it because they're not maternal like you and I. We're hardwired to be that way, whereas my husband's not. But now that I've let him, my God, my husband, like Frank comes home from work and they wander through the garage together. They play with each other. They have fun. Yeah. And there's this connection and bond that wasn't there in the first 6 months or really the first 10 months because I thought I had to do it all.
Yes. I understand. And even just our words, right? That, oh, because they're working, just that they're working and we're not is like, it's so fucking deep in our psyche, right? That what we are doing does not have value. That what we are doing because we're not making the fucking paycheck is not valuable. And it just makes me insane. And it's so deep. It runs rampant. I remember when my brother, bless his heart, I don't know that he'll ever see this, but maybe his wife will. I remember when he called me up saying, so what are you doing with all your time these days? Right? Fucking hate that. Oh my God. Like, wow. Like, bless his heart. He's not a dad, you know, he doesn't get it. I get it. But I was like, whoa, like, that's what we're up against. Like, that is what we're up. Even my mom, a mother of 5 children, would ask me that. What are you up to these days? I'm like, I'm raising my children. You know, I'm an unschooler on top of it. So my kids don't go to school, you know, so anybody that asks me what I'm up to with my time, I find it very humorous and I bless them. But I used to get so pissed, like, because it really, not towards them, because it has nothing to do with them. It's just a reflection of our culture that we're living in, how much mothers are just thrown under the bus, you know, how our work is not valued. We're doing the most fucking important work in the world, raising our future generation. Nobody's telling us how hard it is. Nobody's fucking helping us. They're all like, well, you choose to have kids, so they're, you know, that you're best of luck to you kind of thing. Like, that's kind of the energy around it. Like, and there's no room even for our feelings about it, because if we talk about the truth of how hard this work is, all of a sudden we just have the wrath, and not only the wrath of first, I feel the wrath of the older parents who have kids that are grown. I feel their wrath, but I really feel the wrath of these mothers who have never, ever, ever, I think they've never even allowed themselves to touch in with how hard their lives are. That it just brings up such a mountain of shit for them that they can't even look at it. And so somebody else telling you, right? Somebody else,
like, keep that there.
Oh yeah, it's a shocking to me. Oh, somebody last week, oh, I'm really sorry that you feel that motherhood is so awful. And I'm just like, oh my good God, you're not even hearing me. You can't even hear what I'm saying. Like, you're so out to lunch. But I have compassion for that too, because I get that they're just very shut down and very much living in their little, I don't know.
To the world, you know, I have a sister like that, and I don't give a fuck if she watches me right now. She can get upset. Is that when anything emotional comes up, she shuts it down. Or I was like, I fucking can't cope with this mum at home stuff. I was like, this is fucking crazy. And I thought I'd have some empathy from her. Yeah. And she sent me a fucking link about how lucky I am to be at home. Like, I should be appreciating for how fucking lucky I am, because other mums want to be at home too. I know. And I get other mums want to be home, and I get what she's saying, but I just
just wanted some fucking empathy.
Yeah,
It's like
totally.
us mother to mother. And then once, it's funny, you're talking about crying. I love that you shared that you didn't start crying until you're about 33.
Yeah.
I went to acting school in New York and they taught me how to cry. And I think that's the best investment of my life, because I didn't cry because for my situation, if I cried, it would exaggerate the emotional drama at home a lot more. And my mum wasn't very good coping with her feelings. And it all comes down to emotional regulation, how we manage our own feelings. But this, I don't even know where I'm going off to, is that once I cry and process the feelings that are going through my body, it's shifted. I'm in a better place, and I'm, as Eckhart Tolle says, I'm in the now. I am here, and I'm present, and I'm receptive to my son, and he smiles, and his feelings land on me. And people don't realize how, if we live in this robot way and not expressing our feelings, we're mirroring, because our mirror neurons of our children are reflecting back to us what we do. And they are mirroring everything we do. And I don't want my fucking son to grow up in 20 years and not be able to express his feelings. And I know you do it well with your boys as well. They have to, I am sick of, in Australia they have this, and I don't know if it's in the States as well, is that boys shouldn't cry. You shouldn't show your feelings. But that's the worst thing, is that, like, when my husband found out his mother had cancer, he didn't know how to process those fucking feelings.
I know.
He didn't know, and he kept getting angry at the world and having fights with telemarketers and everybody else, because he, as a man, hasn't had that conversation or even been told that it's safe to express how I feel. You know, if somebody breaks my heart, it's okay. And that's the same with women. I'm just the two. We're living in this box society that we have to have our feelings kept in.
Yeah.
And the deficit to that is, as a mum, I just want somebody to say to me, you know what, I feel what you feel. And let's find a strategy that we can overcome this. And you know, and that's the conversations we aren't having, because we all think we have to be Instagram perfect. Like, I'm so tired. Or even Facebook feeds. We're not even talking and discussing things. We just want to show the best 10% of our life. And then we compare ourselves to that person that's showing the best fucking 10% of their life. But they don't show you that as soon as they've taken that photo, the child's vomited all over them, you know? And they've got diarrhea and all so forth. But they go, look at me, my life is so fucking glamorous. No, we have tangents of emotions that we run through. And it's really healthy that we both, as parents, mums and dads, that we know how to organically express our feelings, so that it gives permission in, you know, not even 20 years time. They know how to self-care, they know how to navigate those feelings and shift and go through them and move on.
Well, the most beautiful thing, you know, one of my, so I've been a parenting coach for the last 8 years, and I teach about conscious parenting and listening to feelings, like really, really listening to feelings. And this was such a radical thing for me as a new mom, because I had a baby. So I had crazy birth trauma. I had birth trauma. He had birth trauma. It was a 52-hour labor. It was so awful. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. So much trauma that needed to be processed, and nobody was talking about it. Nobody knew how to talk about it. I didn't even know. It wasn't even like, I was like, oh, that really sucked, but I didn't really know. Like,
can I jump in there? I just wanted to say, nobody fucking wants to talk about the labor components either.
I know.
Like,
I know.
shut it down, because it might turn you off.
Totally.
You know, so you don't even know, when you're going into that room, you don't even know what you're preparing yourself for.
I know. Yeah, it's a real mess. And that's a whole other Facebook Live that we can do on this. But the piece about the feelings is that, you know, the result of the birth trauma was that I had a baby that woke me up every 45 minutes. He could not sleep because of the amount of trauma that was in his body. And as a result, I was barely hanging on 10 months. I was massive postpartum depression. I was crying every day. I was like, what did I do? How do I get out of this? I started smoking as a new mom. I started fucking smoking. Yeah, because I could not handle this. I didn't know what to, I just couldn't even see straight. And yet every time I brought my feelings or tried to bring my feelings to anybody in my circle, they were just like, oh, just be grateful for what you have, you know, just be grateful for your baby. Just like, nobody could hold it. And I was like, I was coming out of my skin. And then finally is when I learned about this power of listening to feelings. And as soon as I started, I did everything to make Ocean, that's my son's name, I did everything to try and make him not cry. everything from, he went to sleep with like 7 pacifiers all around him. We would bounce him, we would shush him, we would drive him in the car, we would blast a hairdryer by his head, we would put him on the dryer, we would do everything. We would have to walk. I remember Scott walking him for hours and hours and hours up and down the hallway, just trying to get him to stop crying. Nothing we did could make him stop crying. And when I finally learned about the power of listening to his tears instead of trying to stop them, I actually invited them and met him with my presence and my love and my certainty that I would listen and pour in all my love to him while all of his feelings came out. Everything changed for us. Everything. He started sleeping 12 hours a night, and my baby transformed before my eyes. Everything about him changed. His personality changed. You could see the neurons in his brain just connect. And it was like massive, massive, massive. And from then on, I was like, oh my God, I need to learn more about this. And then I dove into this world of conscious parenting and understanding the power of listening to tears. And because stress and cortisol actually comes out of their bodies when they cry, right? And that literally the brain science is that you're literally helping them rebuild the neurons in their brain and releasing all the stress and tension from their lymphatic system, from their lymph system, their limbic, the limbic part of their brain. There's just so many pieces to it. And of course, I was seeing the results. That was the most powerful thing, is I was seeing these huge changes in him, going from all these massive tantrums to like being more relaxed in his body, going from throwing his food on the ground and crazy picky eating to suddenly being willing to eat anything. Like everything about his personality changed because I learned how to meet him where he was at and listen to these feelings. And one of my greatest desires was to have a baby, because I didn't learn this until he was like 1. And I wanted to have this tool from day one and see what a massive difference it would make in learning how to listen to feelings in a newborn, like from day one, instead of stuffing it, right? Because that's what we're all taught to do, is like make them stop, just make them stop. You go into the grocery store and a baby starts crying, everyone's like, "Ugh." Like everybody's like freaked out when a child is crying, that like everybody gets tense. And that's a whole other topic. But I remember this day when I was with a friend who also does this work. She was actually one of my clients, and we had become friends, and we were hanging out with our kids. So we had 4 kids, and I was listening to her son because he was having a massive meltdown. So I was with him and really presencing him and helping him with his feelings. And then I heard my daughter behind me, who at the time she was 2, almost 2. And she started going off, but I couldn't see her, but I knew my friend Natalie was behind me, and I was like, oh, Natalie's listening to her, I'm sure of it. And so I was very present with her son, finished that, and then I turned around to look at my daughter to see how she was, because she was still crying. And I see my son, who had his arms and his legs around her. He was 5.5, and he goes, I got this, Mom. I'm listening to her. And he sat there, and he was here, presencing her, just listening to her feelings. And I was like, I just burst into tears. And I was like, oh my God, all I could think about were all of his future partners, his relationships, his friendships, his business relationships, like just his life, like learning this massive tool of how to listen to somebody instead of shutting them down and trying to make them wrong, but how to really welcome these feelings. And I was like, it was revolutionary for me. And I thought, wow, if there's one thing that I've done right, it's this. Like, it was huge. It was huge. He used to pull me by the finger anytime we would be out in public and we'd hear a baby cry, and he'd pull me by the finger and go, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And we would go in the store up to strangers whose babies were having a meltdown, and we'd sit there and listen to them. And they'd be like, what are you doing? And we're like, we're just listening, just giving you some support. I'm sorry, it's so hard right now, you know? And the mom would start crying, and then it's just like, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Because that's what you want to hear.
Yes.
That's what you want to hear.
Yes.
Yeah?
It's all you need, you know? It's
I don't
really
need
all
a
you need.
solution.
No.
I don't need a solution. And,
No.
I know my husband, I love him. And this is men, they're oriented to give solutions.
Yes.
That's the way they
Yes.
navigate the world. And we just want someone to listen
Yes.
and have empathy.
Yeah.
You know, you've taught your son that amazingly. And that's what I find with Zion, because he's learning about emotions, is that I've just got to be there and allow him to see that I'm absorbing what he's going through. I'm not giving words. I'm just sitting there and present and with him. And you've taught that so beautifully. So you're right. the future partners of all your children are very fortunate.
But here's the key to this. Here's the key to this. There's no way that we can presence and give this time and attention to our children if we don't also have somebody giving it to us. It's not possible. You can give and give and give and give, but you have to have somebody who can really listen to you. And this is where, you know, this tool of radical listening partnerships came into my life. And it's been a game changer for me. I've been doing it for 9 years now. And I do it every single week. And it's where, and anybody can do this. Do you want me to just tell you how this works so that people know?
I'm so excited. I expect everybody's going, oh my God, I'm on this. This is beautiful. Tell us more. We want to know.
Yeah. So radical listening, it's so beautiful. And what I'll do is I have a little quote card with the guidelines that I'll pop in the comments here for anybody that wants it afterwards. But it's very, very simple. You find another mother, a parent. It could be male, female. You do not do this with your partner because it's just not a good idea. But you do it with another mom or another dad, and you set a timer and you give each other undivided attention and listening. You can do it on the phone or you can do it in person. So let's say you do 10 minutes each. That's a great way to start. People go like, what? I'm going to talk for 10 minutes? Yeah, you're going to talk for 10 minutes and just wait till you see what happens at the end of 10 minutes. You'll be fucking blown away by what happens. But what you do is you literally set a timer and you listen. You say, I'm right here, go for it. And that other person gets to talk about whatever they need to talk about. And you let your brain just unwind and you talk about all the crap that's going on or all the good stuff that's going on or what's really concerning you right now or what's making you crazy, whatever you need to offload. You know, like my son is making me fucking crazy right now. I want to strangle him. I want to throw him out the window. I don't know what to do. I want out. Like you release, right? You release, you tell the truth about everything. And this other person, they're holding you in the light the whole time. They know that there's nothing to fix. They know there's nothing wrong with you. They know that this is just a part of you, that even though you want to strangle your child, really you love them and you would never do that. They know that there's nothing wrong here, that it's just you needing to offload your stress and tension so that you can connect your own neurons and have clear thinking again. And it is life changing, because what happens is when you get this 10 minutes of radical listening where there's no interruptions, there's no questions, there's no nothing. And the goal is that you get down to the feelings, right? Because underneath all this stress and tension are the feelings. And the feelings, if we can tap into the feelings, that's when you have these massive, massive releases in your own body and you come out with solutions. You come out feeling more resourced. You come out having more patience and more love to give to your children. You come out suddenly not resenting your spouse anymore because you've spent 10 minutes offloading everything that's making you crazy about them. And it's such a way of resourcing yourself and really like filling up your own cup in a whole different way. And I have watched people heal their relationships I've healed my own relationships with people without even talking to them by using radical listening time. I've helped my children shift crazy behavior that I didn't know what to do with. And I could just offload. Oh my God, this is making me crazy. I don't know what to do. Stress, rage, storming. Like we get to throw our own tantrums. Imagine throwing your own fucking tantrum, right? With a loving
physical energy out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. With a loving person who listens to you. And at first it feels really vulnerable. At first you're like, oh my God, this is so weird, because we're so used to the back and forth, of giving each other advice and giving each other feedback or wanting to know more, right? You're curious and you want to know more about people's stories, but this is a real massive tool for, it's life-changing, quite frankly. Everybody that I've ever worked with, I teach them how to do this, and I've led women's circles that we do this together, and it's free therapy is what it is. It's like the freest, most incredible form of self-care you could ever give yourself. And so I do it every week, and I chunk off an hour of time, and my partner does 30 minutes and I do 30 minutes. And it's like you come out of that. Yeah.
Partners. Oh, coincidentally, my husband and I did it yesterday, and he listened. I got triggered by something I put on my Facebook page, and it was about learning about abandonment. Yeah. And I didn't realize I had an abandonment wound concerning my mum. Uh-huh. And I was like this emotional triggering down. And for me, you know how you talked about how you didn't know how you made the switch. For me, that I knew things went all right, I've always struggled with issues with food. And there's HALT, and it says hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And none of those four things were coming up in why was I using food for my emotional resource. And then I realized because I'm stuck, I feel so stuck. And so anyway, yesterday with my husband, he did that. I actually rallied off about this abandonment wound. I had the clarity. It was like the little child in me got to say what she needed to say. And the adult conscious me came in and said, okay, mum's this way because she didn't have the resources at her disposal. It's okay. Do you know what? That I was feeling heavy and angry and resentful. It all shifted. And I can't believe I found that from my husband, just listening for 10 minutes of me sharing, because what my abandonment wound was also there is because I didn't have a voice when I was younger, but I have a voice now. And that's what you're saying. When you utilize your voice and you get it out, it's like it's beautiful and organic and it's right, and you find the solution rather than over analyzing and thinking about it in your head.
That's right. Or like, rather than looking towards other people, thinking that somebody else, like a therapist or a psychologist or a doctor or somebody else, is going to have the solution for you. No, it's so empowering to know that you can actually figure everything out and that you have everything that you need. You just need time. You just need time to unwind the brain, because we're just juggling so much in our brains as parents, and we never give ourselves this undivided time to not be interrupted and to just let our brains figure it out. And I can't tell you how many times where I've had a massive problem going, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't want to do. And then I have a massive meltdown, crying with somebody listening to me, because it counters the big feelings. You can't do this by yourself. You have to have somebody counter it for you. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I know what to do. I got it. I got the solution. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. And off I go. Like, it's so empowering. And the other piece of it is that it breaks the isolation. When you listen to another mother, it's massive. All the groups that I've done this with, sometimes we'll sit in a group at a women's circle and we'll give everybody 5 minutes, and we all presence do this radical listening for each other. And they get 5 minutes of undivided attention to talk and express and share whatever they want to. And it breaks the isolation, because so many of us think that we're going through what we're going through on our own, again, because nobody's having these honest conversations, right?
You're right. And we think, and then we internalize what's wrong with me. Like, rather than going, what's fucking wrong with the world? Because we're not having these conversations.
Yes.
We get into ourselves and say, well, what's wrong with me? Well, I'm not a good mom. I'm not a good person, and it brings all those shitty beliefs that we have running through our head, and it activates and gets them on a rotation loop that we just got to do it. And somebody's just commented, it's isolation's a killer, especially when you're a single parent. Like, think about it. We've got partners we can bounce off. I have so much respect for everybody that's out there doing it on their own.
Gosh, me too.
Because I've done weeks where my husband's gone away and I'm pulling my hair out and I'm thinking, how do they do this? Like, I think I can't breathe.
Right.
And to think that people are out there amazingly doing it by themselves.
I know.
Like, hats off to all those sisters and those fathers out there.
Yes. Hear.
That are just, and that's why you have those groups, and that's why we need to have these conversations. We've got to embrace everyone and bring them in and say, it's okay to utilize this radical listening, so that, and I'm quite welcome. If somebody's on here, they want to hook up with me to do 10, 15 minutes of radical listening, I'll do it. Because one of the things I've learned is everybody wants to be seen. Yes. Everybody wants to be heard. That's what we want. And I remember Beyonce, I'm going back to Beyonce, but Oprah was saying that every interview, she's done over 32,000 interviews.
Wow.
And everybody would ask her after the interview, did I do okay? Am I all right? Is it all right?
Yeah.
And even that's why Beyonce came in, because even Beyonce asked that, because we all want to be seen. And it's not this bullshit facade. Really deep down at our core, we want to be seen. And what I love about my son, he's always reminding me he doesn't have any bullshit layers around him. He's just seen and beautiful and raw. And he doesn't care. Like, he'll skip through the shopping center and he'll play with girls' toys. He'll navigate these. He'll put these crazy hats on and dance, because he's just at his core with the beauty. And it's because we are giving the gift of him being seen.
That's right.
The same with your children. Right. And that's a parent's primary role, is just to let this child is seen and heard. But like you said, we can't let them be seen or heard if we're not being seen or heard, because we're caught up in here and not in here.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, so good. We could go on and on and on, I think. I don't know how long we've been going for, but
I think about 45 minutes.
Okay.
But I should let you run away because I know it's your evening and there's things to do. But I just really, really appreciate this open conversation because it's like I said, and that's something I struggled with, and now we've got radical listening. And like I said, if anybody wants to come out, and the honest truth is, I found you through the educational platform that we're a part of. Like,
yeah.
My life, I've been a part of that for 3.5 months. My life is transformed in so many ways.
So great.
Because there is a group of people there that are like-minded. And I heard something was amazing about you, like you said, about your Facebook feed. And I used to hate Facebook too, because I'd go on there and there would be people just bagging out the world and not in a good frame of mind. And that's because they're not in a good frame of mind.
Right.
And then I found this group of people that are wanting to just, help the world and help other people be the best them, and that they know their success comes from other people's success. It's not this competitive bullshit. It's not this lack mentality. It's just so beautiful, and I'm so grateful that I found you. Like I said, I stalked you, and I just I felt like my heart sings. Like I said, you're my Hollywood movie star, because you articulate so beautifully. And anyone I say, go stalk her, because she articulates beautifully, and you're fearless. You are absolutely fearless in. Well, I don't care, and I know for myself that people pleasing, wanting to please everybody else, and in that I don't please my voice, who I am, and you are giving a voice to everybody else and giving permission to everybody else that they can own their voice, and that's powerful as a mum, because it's generational. It's not just you that you're helping. You're not helping the mum, you're helping the dad, you're helping the kids, and you're also helping the grandkids, because you're teaching. We all are mums. We all are, and dads. I don't want to discern that. We are. How we choose to be conscious in our lives not only helps our children, it helps our grandchildren, our great grandchildren. It's aligned, and we're getting rid of this bullshit idea that's always been there of how we have to navigate life. Owning our voice.
Ancestral trauma ends right here. Done.
Absolutely. My love.
Yeah.
Well,
so good.
I can't wait till one day I meet you and get that signature.
Me too. It's so funny.
But thank you. I just,
thank you.
like everyone here, everyone's loving it, saying thank you. This has been exactly what I needed to hear.
I'm so glad.
It's liberating.
Great. Great.
Keep shining.
Thank you, honey. Yeah, and I'll just say that I'll also drop my my Mommy Minutes Facebook page in here for anybody that wants specific tools. There's hundreds of videos in there on like the tools and techniques that I teach with kids, which is all about emotional intelligence and bringing more laughter into your life and having an easier time as a mom, because let's be real, like we all need more tools in our toolbox, and the tools that I've learned like changed everything for me, and one of my greatest goals is to make moms' lives easier. So I'll drop that in there too.
Thank you. And if you've learned a lot from this, everybody, just share it on to other women, because and dads, because the dads need a voice too.
That's right.
We got to have this open conversation, and us doing it today means it gives permission to other people doing it. But everybody's saying thank you. I can't wait to find Mommy Minutes.
Great. Yeah. Great. Big love to you all.
Right.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening. All right.
Okay.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.